Today in No Man's Sky I'm going to bring you the ultimate guide to upgrading your multi-tool, with locations to loot, inventory expansion modules, every other place you can get them, and just everything you didn't know in relation to upgrading your primary defense against the denizens of the verse. Let's start off strong, with upgrading the class of your multi-tool. This is by far the most expensive part to upgrade, and you can only do it by spending a boatload of nanites. Upgrading from C class to B class will set you back 10,000 nanites, B to A is 25,000, and A to S is 50,000. This is the same price as upgrading the class on a starship, and at 85,000 nanites to take it all the way from C to S class, it is usually better to just find the S class version from the get-go. But sometimes the S-Class cabinet doesn't exist for a model you find, so in that circumstance you just have to head to the space station and there's a multi-tool upgrading terminal right outside the Multitool Technology vendor. That's where you'll be doing all of the actual upgrading. Next is to upgrade the amount of slots it has. This can be done in two ways, either using units or by using multi-tool inventory expansion items. For the units, it's increasingly more expensive as you go. The price is based on what number of slots this will be and not how many slots you have upgraded. Here's a chart with all the pricing for upgrading your multi-tool with units. It starts from as low as 10,000 units, but goes up to 40 million for the final 24th slot. For those with huge farms, this really isn't a big deal, and if you don't have a huge farm but want one, here are two videos that will help you out. The first one is the Stasis Device Mega Guide, an hour-and-a-half long, very well produced and concise guide that takes you through everything you could ever want to know about building farms of any kind while focusing on an actual detailed blueprint of a Stasis Device farm. This other video goes over diminishing returns on farms and essentially how to build a perfect activated Indian farm. It's a little more advanced than the former in the sense it doesn't have all the beginner info, so you may wish to skip the sections in the Stasis Device Guide for full rundowns on basic topics like hotspots, blueprints and more. Now before we get on to where you can get multi-tool inventory expansion items, there is one more limiter to getting your slots, and this limiter will be present whether you are paying for slots or using expansion items. This is the maximum slot upgradability based on the class of the multi-tool. So unless your multi-tool is S-Class, you cannot upgrade it to the full 24 slots. A C-Class multi-tool can be upgraded to no more than 12 slots, B-Class is 16 slots max, and A-Class is 20, and S-Class is of course 24. An interesting thing is that while this is clear as day in the game files, on my recent stream, when I upgraded my starter pistol from B to A-Class and then bought some slots, it allowed me to buy the 21st slot. I can only assume this is some sort of bug, but it will be interesting to see if it happens again allowing a 25th slot, but I doubt it. It would be everywhere over a month ago if that were possible. Now we come to the inventory expansion units, the items that allow you to increase the slots without spending units. You will come across these occasionally while adventuring, so may as well use them if you have them, but also I imagine there are many out there who will prefer to use these over units, especially if I can tell you the location to find a few marked just a portal jump away. To find these locations we need to first look at where these items can drop, so I've gathered every loot table in the game that has them as an item. This first table has a 100% drop chance and only drops a multi-tool expansion unit. This is the table for when you go to a manufacturing facility, successfully complete the riddle and choose a multi-tool expansion item as the reward. So that's one place to get them, and it's guaranteed, provided you complete the riddle correctly of course. This next table has many more items on it. It is also the one table out of 6 that I'm not too certain of what it's for. Its ID is useful prod, which insinuates, at least to me, that this is a loot table for when you talk to NPCs, and sometimes they'll give you an item. Most of the items on this list are fuel or race items. Either way, the drop chance of multi-tool expansion item is 0.71%, so it's not worth hunting for. Number 3 is the loot table for a suspicious packet of goods that you can buy from a scrap dealer. In another video I recommended not getting these mini loot chests, and now that tainted metal is a currency, I stand by it more than ever. It is not worth what it is essentially more than 400 nanites to get anything in that box. The inventory expansion item itself has a measly 0.34% chance to drop. Loot tables 4 and 5 are linked. I'm very sure that Crash Cont M is the basic loot table for crashed freighter cargo pods, specifically crashed freighters you find on planet surfaces. This is because the only other mention on this idea I could find was in an entity entry, the bottom of which has some code for a time delay of 2.5 seconds and then radiation, which is what happens when you open those cursed pods. The second loot table I am pretty certain is a more common version of the other, so in most circumstances you'll get an item from this table instead. These don't have amazing drop chances for the inventory item, but they do have a general good pool of items, which makes crash freighters a fairly decent thing to stop and loot as a way to spice up your exploration. They have cool lore too, so worth checking a bunch. For what I want to achieve in this video, this last loot table is by far the most promising, and not just for the expansion item, but for the X-Class tech. This beast of a loot table only drops awesome items. You have a 13% chance of an expansion item, but if you don't get that, you are guaranteed an X-Class tech upgrade, which if you saw my previous video about how to game technology upgrades to get perfect stats, may have your interest piqued in gathering up a set. This loot table is for two versions of the same thing. This is for buried caches, the rare version. In my experience, these procedurally generated buried items are usually loot static. By this I mean that if me and you loot the exact same one, we get the exact same thing. At the very least, I'm confident that we will get the same loot table, as I expect at least the table it accesses is on the item when it loads and not random as you loot. That's a huge part of this game. Finding cool stuff, telling everybody, then seeing all the comp stations pile up as people converge temporarily on a singular point. It's a cool thing that I like about this game, primarily a lonely experience, with occasional glimmers that prove we are not alone. Anyway, that's what we're going to do next, find a bunch of these on a single planet and note down their locations. While I can only physically mark a single one with a comball, I'm sure as people head to the coordinates and see no comball, they'll leave one, and so on until we have a planet with a whole multi-tool inventory worth of upgrades marked for our convenience. Right, so here we are. I've located a semi-flat world. By flat, I mean this world won't be too difficult to get around at all, whereas some of them are like super mountainous and yeah, just a bit annoying. So this shouldn't be too bad to get around. The storming will only affect me, and this seems to be one that's like perpetually stormy, even though it's not actually hurting me. This is classed as an extreme lush. It actually has activated copper, but it doesn't seem to have annoyed sentinels or anything. So I think this would be a really good one to start with the test. There's multiple buried caches within reach of my landing spot, so that's a good sign. So yeah, let's get started looking for these. I may as well call my freighter in so that we can call in the exocrafts and such, because I've got the freighter room and such up there. But yeah, so basically for you guys the storming won't matter. If there is annoyed sentinels, that won't matter either, because you'll just be pretty much flying to one spot, pick up, then to the next and so forth. So let's have a look around. We've got one here, it's cargo drop. We have a buried cache there, 329. Buried cache. So we've got a couple in reach. I'll head over to this one first. Yeah, I do like the Pilgrim, it's quite fun. Let's definitely use that. Okay, so this first one. Okay, so that's not a rare one, that's just giving me a procedural data item. I will double check these as I get them, just in case. Yeah, it's gave me silver. So, nothing from that one. And basically, I'm just going to repeat this until I find something interesting. Oh, nice, I've got two next to each other here. Oh, yes, and one of them is a suspicious scanner module, so we can note this location down. What's the other one? Being so close, will it be on the same loot table? I wonder. No, this other one was data. So this one here gave us a suspicious scanner module unit, which is fantastic. So I'll mark this. Hells to the air. Nice, just got a suspicious photon cannon module, Excellentro. So it's my second rare one. I've probably done about 10 or 12 now, and I've got 2 rare finds. Nice, just got another photon cannon, that's great. I wish these storms are way more frequent than I was expecting, unfortunately. But again, that shouldn't be an issue for anyone who's stopped starting on specific, just a few around the whole thing. And hopefully it'll be much better in permadeath and survival. Nice, another suspicious scanner module, that's excellent. The scanner ones are particularly swisher-doodles, just because they can give you so much more cash from scanning just everything. Wow, flora and fauna. Now, these storms have almost never stopped. This is getting so annoying. I'm actually going to find a different planet. But I have now found 4 different X-Class modules. So I've got photon, 2 photon cannons and 2 scanner. So this is still useful. I'll jump onto my survival save, pop to this same system and check these locations, so that we can either prove or disprove the theory of whether it will be exactly the same or even whether they'll all be rare or something. And then if that proves it, then sweet, we can carry on and find someone a better planet that people are going to want to actually find more on later as well. Right, so I'm here on my survival save. This should be an X-Class scanner. Prove the theory. Yes! Okay, right, so it gave me the suspicious scanner module, X-Class. That is perfect. Let's do the next scanner one, just to be sure. So for this one, we just need to go almost like directly south and maybe a bit this way. And here we go. I'm at 32.09 by minus 110.52. This should be the other scanner module. Yeah, it's the one that's in a 2. So that one is the one that is just data, I believe. Let's open that. Yeah, it's just species record, and this one should be an X-Class scanner. Yes! Awesome! That is fantastic. Excellentro. So we've proven the theory. So now we can find a better planet than this to mark the stuff on. Because I didn't find any actual multi-tool expansions. I just found 4 X-Class. There's 2 scanner and 2 photon. From this one, I'm just going to move on to a different, more pleasant planet to find some multi-tool expansion units. And more X-Class. So yeah, that is fantastic. Excellent. Super happy with that. Oh, perfect. Okay, balmy, so stormless. It does have high sentinel activity, but that doesn't mean extreme, so they won't just attack for no reason. And this is a glowy bubble planet. So if we turn it to night, oh, beautiful. Why didn't I go to this one first? This is in the same system as the other, by the way. Yeah, excellent. Hopefully this has a load of buried caches. It's possible that all planets have them, but I assume that some planets, well, most anyway, obviously not all planets have buried everything, but it's possible and quite likely that some planets have more than others, or more regular, you know. So let's call the old exocraft in and let's have a look. Man, this is more beautiful by far. Love it. First one I found on this planet is a suspicious hazard protection module, and if you've seen my X-Class guide or just are in the know in general, you would know that this is the only way to get this particular one. There is no, well, you can only get this one in X-Class. You can't get this in any other classes, and yeah, this is the one that gives you resistances to the elemental types of damage, all 4. So that's pretty cool. Excellent. Sweet. We found the first one for this planet. Oh wow, we've got a triple one here. Finding 2 different ones in the same place, like merged like this, is somewhat common. Finding 3, I mean, we don't care about the flesh one. That's like, as far as I know, I don't think that actually drops pretty much anything good. But this one, oh nice, okay, suspicious scanner, excellent. And what about this one? Just a mirror record, cool. So we got another X-Class, excellent. Swish, just found a suspicious starship shield, so that is pretty darn swish. As you can see, I've had a bit of a dry patch, but yeah. Swisheroo, found another X-Class module. The nights on this planet really do make those dry patches far more bearable. Just look at this light up, so good. That looks awesome. Nice, 2 in a row. Suspicious scanner module, excellentro. Happy days. Nice, okay, perfect. I've just found a suspicious hyperdrive module. So that's the first one of the hyperdrives. Excellent, that is very cool. Swish. Nice, another scanner, excellentro. Nice, shield module, excellent, this is going really well. There we go, finally. Right, we've finally got our first multi-tool expansion slot. Excellent, cool. Right, we found one. So that's the first one. Let's hope we can find more. Because, I mean, one's useful and helpful, and obviously there's also X-Class tech, and so I've even found some S-Class tech here, but I'd like to find more multi-tool expansion slots. This is cool. Swish. Oh, I've never seen this before. A triple buried cache. Very cool. Hopefully this will have, one of these will have something in it. Come on. Ah, nope, not on the first one. Second one. Oh, yes! The second one had a frigging multi-tool expansion slot. Come on, third. Come on. Yes! This is the crown jewel. I have found a triple buried cache, 2 of which have a multi-tool expansion slot. So, my theory has grown slightly now, because with these, it's that it is close enough and both within the exact same coordinate. So you think about SatNav. SatNav is only accurate to a certain measurement. So say SatNav is accurate to a foot. Now it sounds silly, but if you have 2 cars both within the same square foot, then the SatNav will assume they're in the exact same place. Now, it's basically the same with this. So the coordinate is big enough that the cores of these 2 items that are almost in the exact same place, they're very slightly off, these very centres of them. Because they're so close to each other and essentially almost in the exact same place, they both have the same item, and that's because it's the coordinate that actually defines the item you get from it. That's the way with a lot of things in this game. But it's nice to have confirmation. I've seen a lot of this today, so I feel I'd need to see evidence to the contrary in order to not think this. So yeah, this is an amazing find though. 2 in 1, that is fantastic. Super happy with that. Hells to the yes. Now it is also the one that I'm going to put my comm station on, because I forgot to put it on the last one. And it's a multi-tool expansion slot that I definitely want to put the comm station on, so let's do that. Swish a delf. Also put a beacon here just so I can find my way back quickly if I need to. Right, that's awesome. This is about where I ended my little search. It lasted around 3 hours and I searched multiple hundreds of buried caches. On the first planet I found 2 multi-tool scanner upgrades and 2 photon cannon upgrades. And while these are on a different planet to the one I settled on, here are the coordinates as they are just on the other lush planet in the system. The primary planet has the majority, which is 2 hazard protection modules, 4 scanner, 2 ship shield, 1 hyperdrive and 1 life support, all X-class, as well as this are 3 multi-tool expansion slot modules. Further testing in consistency with members of the UAS Council showed that these are consistent over the different platforms and difficulties, meaning you will find the same thing from the same buried cache someone else found regardless of platform or difficulty. There was, however, an anomaly, which is fitting for this game. The double multi-tool expansion slot location was indeed a double location for normal mode of PS4, but when tested in survival and permadeath, that triple buried cache location had only a single cache. This was true for both platforms tested. You may just think that locations with double spawns are only a normal mode thing, but I've seen dual locations plenty of times in survival and permadeath mode, and the one I tested myself that had a double spawn was the same on both difficulties. So there is a bit of a mystery left here, and it does mean that while in almost every tested case, normal and survival / permadeath are identical, it can just not be 100% guaranteed. Not only is this planet beautiful and in the UAS Euclid division, but I've already made a start here. I have decided to make this planet the official Euclid UAS buried cache farming spot, a place where we can all search for and gather X-class technology and multi-tool expansion slots. In No Man's Sky, each person can only put a single comm station down on any one planet that will be visible to other players. If you put multiple down on the same planet, the most recently built comm station will be the one visible. This means that I can only mark a single location, so I have of course marked the spot that has 2 expansions on normal and 1 on survival and permadeath. For the rest I'm going to need your help. I would suggest that every player who comes to gather any amount of the items here either mark an unmarked but noted rare buried cache, or finds a new one and marks it. I'm going to work toward having a web page up by Thursday that will display the ones I have found here, and see if there is a quick way I can arrange it to have new submissions added to the table so that people can find unmarked ones and submit newly discovered ones. So keep an eye out for Thursday's video, which will have more information. Thank you all for joining me on this mini adventure. Be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to keep in the loop on everything No Man's Sky. To support the channel and join these fantastic folk on screen now, I have a Patreon linked below as well as YouTube membership on the join button. Everything linked below. Have a fantastic day.